This is the Fujifilm X-T5. Let's dig into it here today. So, starting with the sensor, its sensor is an apsc sensor, and it's the X-Trans CMOS 5 HRBSI. Now, that might be just a bunch of jumble of letters for you, and that's okay. So, the details of it is that it's a 40 megapixel sensor, and it can do video recording up to 6.2K quality at 30 frames per second, 422 10-bit color quality internally, that's in the camera body itself. Now, if you want to go even higher than that, if you need to go even higher than that, you can do 12-bit recording, ProRes RAW, and Blackmagic RAW via the HDMI port, all right? It boasts 7-stop in-body image stabilization, and it's got a 425-point intelligent hybrid autofocus system. All right, all of that is coming to you at a price pack of $1,699. First off, let's start with the look and the feel of the Fujifilm X-T5. Now, if you desire a retro-looking camera, this is going to be very, very pleasing to your eyes. It's a really nice camera it's a really nice looking camera body, in my opinion. Now, the X-T5, it's a bit of a smaller camera body, but it certainly doesn't feel tiny in your hands. It's, you know, it fits, but it's small. It's not a huge camera. And as far as how it fits in your hands, I really don't have a lot of complaints, except for I do have one major complaint when it comes to the X-T5's form factor. And that is that there is a dial that is located on the front right of the body, right where your hand grip goes, on the front right of the camera body. And this dial kind of sticks out where, I don't know if it's just the way personally I hold the camera. If you have found this to be true for you, please let me know. But that dial just stuck right into my finger and just pricked me the whole time. It was like having a little rose thorn in my finger the entire time. And not only that, but this dial is, you know, it's movable, it's rotatable, but it's also pressable. It's a pressable dial. And I mishit that quite a few amount of times. So I really found that dial to be quite a nuisance. Now, other camera bodies, for example, I'm using a Sony a7 IV, they have a form factor where their grip becomes depressed quite deeply before it goes to the dial. And I'll show you a picture of the a7 IV, how it's different. And my finger doesn't lay on that dial, but it lays in the depression of the actual camera body itself. So, I don't know how they got through testing, and nobody said, hey, yeah, we accidentally flicked that dial. They just said it was okay and popped the product, I guess. But yeah, I found that dial to be annoying. Now, they do have a focus toggle switch that's located on the front bottom left of the camera body, and I never had any trouble when it came to, you know, accidentally switching that. It's a nice little switch, and it's located in an okay place. A little bit of an odd place, perhaps, but it was just fine. Let's talk about the control dials themselves. Now, the aperture dial has a push button toggle lock on it, and it really has a nice, pleasant, clicky rotation. And the same goes for the shutter speed dial, the exact same thing. However, when it comes to the exposure compensation dial at the very right side of the camera body, it was not given a push button toggle lock. And I don't really see why it couldn't be given one, since additionally, because it is a slightly smaller camera body, you can rub your hand against that dial, and I did accidentally switch it a couple of times. It wasn't anything near as bad as the front dial that was being triggered by my finger very, very many times. But I did accidentally shift it a couple of times. So I think that could be given a toggle lock, something to think about when they design future camera bodies. The rear LCD screen of the X-T5, unfortunately, it does not fully articulate. So you can't do some type of selfie video monitoring in that sense. However, Fujifilm has made the LCD screen be able to tilt in different ways. So for example, if you are trying to shoot in a portrait crop, a portrait type framing, then Fujifilm has designed this rear LCD screen to tilt in an additional way to make visibility for you much easier. So they have thought of that. X-T5 and autofocus. Now the X-T5 utilizes, as I said in the beginning, 425 phase detection points, and it is also backed by AI, adaptive algorithm, which means that the focusing system is better suited to track subjects such as animals, athletes, birds, cars, motorcycles, and moving subjects. It has a bunch of different focus modes for those particular subjects. So if you're shooting birds, you can put it in bird mode. If you're shooting trains, you can put it in train mode. And it's AI backed to recognize these things and to track them. Now, generally, when it comes to the X-T5's autofocus performance, I really didn't have a whole lot of issues. As a Sony user, I did feel like it was a step down, but across the Fujifilm spectrum, I felt like it did put in a good solid performance whenever it comes to autofocus. One weird thing that I did note though is that it claims to have touch to focus. So I was shooting video, getting shots, testing it out, using it, and the LCD screen on the back said, you know, touch to focus is active. And so I was trying to touch to focus, and it wasn't switching. It was registering it, you know, it made the little square like, yes, we've registered your hit, but it wasn't actually working. And so I was playing on the LCD screen, just in that video recording menu, trying to figure out why on earth is this not switching? And so I couldn't figure it out. And finally I talked to Dustin Abbott about it, and he was saying, what you actually have to do, and this is just, I don't get this. What you have to do is touch to focus only works in certain focus modes. I don't know why. I had to go into the actual menu, go down to the focus mode, switch the focus mode, and then touch to focus would work. Why doesn't touch to focus work in all focus modes? I don't have an answer for you. If you're a Fuji rep, please let us know. I feel like touch to focus should work in all modes, especially when your UI on the actual back LCD screen says touch to focus is active. Well, yeah, it may be active, but it's not usable in that mode, so it's not doing anything. So I would like to see some improved clarity there. Why is touch to focus only active in certain modes? And why is it telling me that it is usable when it's not? I don't understand that. So, okay, back to the other autofocus things. Autofocus does have supporting features. It has face detection. It also has eye priority. And then, as we already mentioned, it has different subject detections. So the exact subject detection modes it has is for animals, birds, vehicles, motorcycles, airplanes, and trains. Those are the 6 specific subject modes. Now, if you didn't know, this channel is more focused on how a camera performs in regards to video. So let's talk about the X-T5's video performance. There are many different video qualities available to you. So it can shoot from everything from 1080 to 6K with all sorts of frame rate options to suit your needs. Additionally, this camera is able to shoot in f-log and f-log2. And if you didn't know, f-log2 is going to give you an expanded dynamic range of 13 plus stops. So lots and lots of detailed information is able to be captured in an f-log2. Additionally, if you don't want to mess around with the f-log shooting platforms, then you can just shoot in standard, and there's a lot of different film simulations that are available for you. In fact, this camera comes packed with 13 different Fujifilm film simulations available for you. So if you don't want to mess around with color grading in post, you can just shoot in standard or one of those more advanced different types of film simulations. I actually do have a video going through all the different Fujifilm film simulations that are available to you. So if you want to check it out, if I remember, it'll be linked up here. You can go ahead and take a look at what those different film simulations look like in a bunch of different scenarios. The X-T5 also comes with IBIS, in-body image stabilization, 5-axis stabilization, and it can help to minimize camera shake up to 7 stops. So it's really quite active. And the IBIS works with most X series lenses, but it also works with non-stabilized lenses as well. It also comes with, in its video specific mode, digital image stabilization, which can be used to additionally help reduce camera shake when recording video. And not only does it come with IBIS, but IBIS also has a boost mode, which I did use and I did test out, and I was very, very pleased with it. I mean, I was shooting with a, I think 130 millimeter lens at the time, and it was just handheld, trying to challenge the system, and it made that footage usable. I did still throw stabilization on it in post. However, it was completely usable, and it didn't have that warped and warbly effect that can happen sometimes when your footage is too shaky. So IBIS was very, very handy, as well as the boost mode was able to take it that step further and really help settle the footage down. So props to Fujifilm on their IBIS. It's active and it's very, very good. Closing this review out, just a couple other things that I like to mention. Because I'm not a strictly Fujifilm shooter, I continue to dislike the Q menu system. I know Q menu stands for quick menu, but I just don't find that Fujifilm's menu system is easily intuitive, in the sense that whenever I'm in Q menu, I want to press certain buttons that I think would perform certain functions. But rather than performing the function that I think they should, they just take me out of the Q menu. And I just find that the dials that you have to use to operate the Q menu are just odd. They're odd locations. For example, you have to use that front dial that was giving me a lot of problems. You have to use that to navigate the Q menu. So I would just like to see a little more user friendliness when it comes to the Q menu. However, if you are a Fujifilm user, you figured that out by now and you're like, what are you harping on about? Move on to the next point. So okay, fair enough, I will. Overall, the X-T5 is a really nice camera. It's got this lovely, I really like the looks of it. I love that retro kind of classic film camera look. It's not an oversized body either, so it's quite nice to travel with. And I think this camera is going to be mostly for people who are very photo oriented, but who also still want to take some video. If you are explicitly a video shooter, the X-T5 is a good option depending on your budget and what you are kind of looking for, but I don't actually think it's the best option within the Fujifilm product range. I'm going to be releasing a video on that later. So if it's already released, then I'll tag it up here. If it's not up there, then I haven't released it yet. But I'm going to be releasing a video on what Fujifilm camera body I believe is best for video. I think this is a good option, but I think it's still, the X-T5 is still more for photo users than it is for video users. It has great video capabilities, and I think overall it's a really nice camera. I did use it to take photos as well, and I was really pleased with the photos I got out of it. They look really good. I'm really happy with them. However, I don't think this is the best video option. It's a good option, but I don't think it's the best one. If you're more of a photo user who's looking to have a camera that also has video capabilities and you would like to take advantage of that, then the X-T5 is a great option if you're more photo focused. If you're more video focused, hang on, I've got a video coming for you. Check that out later on. Okay, that's it. That is the review. Fujifilm X-T5, good camera, mostly more for photo-oriented users. If you'd like to purchase it, the links are down below. If you don't, good, no problem. Take care, have a wonderful day, and remember to let the light in.